In the summer of 1941, with the world teetering on the edge of chaos and America inching closer to entering World War II, Joe DiMaggio gave the country something else to talk about. Something magical. From May 15th to July 17th, DiMaggio hit safely in 56 consecutive games, setting a Major League Baseball record that has stood untouched for over 80 years. No player has come close. Not in the steroid era, not in the launch angle era, not even during the juiced ball seasons. The number 56 remains one of the most iconic in American sports. At the time, DiMaggio wasn't just one of the best hitters in baseball. He was the face of the New York Yankees and a symbol of grace under pressure. The streak started quietly with a single against the Chicago White Sox. But soon, fans were showing up just to see if he'd keep it going. With every passing game, the stakes grew, the headlines got louder, and pitchers began throwing with more intensity to try and be the one to stop him. By Game 30, it wasn't just a baseball story. It was a national obsession. By Game 40, newspapers were printing front-page stories about each hit, and by Game 50, DiMaggio was treated less like a ball player and more like a myth. Still, the pressure didn't crack him. He played with calm focus, using his signature short stride and inside-out swing to send line drives all over the field. He wasn't chasing the record. He was simply hitting, like he always had. Game 56 came and went with another clean base hit. Game 57, however, did not. Facing the Cleveland Indians, DiMaggio hit two sharp ground balls that were both snagged by third baseman Ken Keltner, whose defensive heroics snapped the streak. Just like that, it was over. But the legend had been written. Since then, several hitters have flirted with greatness. Pete Rose reached 44, Paul Molitor got to 39, Jimmy Rollins had 38 across 2 seasons. But no one has truly threatened the record. In fact, hitting streaks longer than 30 games are now rare. And there are very real reasons why DiMaggio's 56 may be the most unbreakable record in baseball. First, the modern game is faster and more specialized. Pitchers no longer throw 90-mile fastballs all day. They mix in sliders, cutters, changeups, and even triple-digit heaters. Starters only face a hitter 2 or 3 times before being replaced by relievers trained to attack specific weaknesses. The depth and precision of modern pitching makes consistency harder than ever. Second, defenses are smarter. With analytics and spray charts, teams position fielders in the exact spots where hitters are most likely to make contact. A line drive that once fell in for a single is now snagged by a perfectly positioned second baseman standing in shallow right field. DiMaggio never faced a shift or a bullpen parade. Finally, there's the mental weight. A hitting streak is fragile. One bad night, one well-hit ball that finds a glove, and it's over. Maintaining it for nearly 2 months requires not just skill, but an almost inhuman level of focus. Every at-bat becomes a referendum on your ability to perform under pressure. And unlike a home run chase or a strikeout record, there's no rest. One missed game, one pinch hit appearance without a hit, and it's gone. In 1941, DiMaggio didn't have to deal with cameras in his face after every game or social media dissecting every swing. Yet he still carried the burden of a nation's expectations, and he thrived under it. That's what makes the 56-game hitting streak so special. It's not just a number. It's a perfect storm of talent, timing, and temperament that may never come again. As the game continues to evolve, and as hitting becomes more about power and walks than daily contact, DiMaggio's streak grows even more mythical. The streak is baseball's Mona Lisa. It doesn't just belong to the Yankees or to the 1940s, it belongs to the sport's soul. And it's likely to remain untouched for generations to come. While DiMaggio's streak is remembered for its elegance and pressure, Cal Ripken Jr.'s record represents something grittier: endurance, discipline, and showing up no matter what. On September 6, 1995, Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's 56-year-old record of 2,030 consecutive games played. He didn't stop there. By the time he voluntarily ended his streak in '98, the number had climbed to 2,062, a number so colossal it might as well be written in stone. Ripken's journey began on May 30th, 1982, with a start at third base. From that moment on, he was in the lineup every single game for the next 16 years. He played through bruises, slumps, illness, and the kind of wear and tear that would sideline most athletes. He didn't ask for days off. He didn't need special treatment. He simply laced up his cleats and took the field. That consistency became part of his identity. Fans came to expect it. Managers planned around it. Ripken didn't just play, he competed. During the streak, he won 2 MVP awards, was selected to 19 All-Star games, and even changed the way the shortstop position was viewed. At 6'4", he wasn't the typical slick, agile infielder, but he made it work through positioning, intelligence, and a cannon arm. His offensive production redefined expectations for what a shortstop could be. Yet the most extraordinary thing Ripken did wasn't an acrobatic play or a clutch homer. It was that he never once hit the bench when he didn't have to. That kind of durability, both physical and mental, simply doesn't exist in the modern MLB ecosystem. Today, players sit far more frequently, often by design. Front offices and coaching staffs have embraced load management, a strategy focused on maximizing long-term performance and minimizing injury risk. Star players are routinely scheduled for rest days, even if they're healthy. Analytics departments monitor sleep patterns, stress levels, and biomechanics to determine when a player should take a breather. Managers are no longer just strategists, they're risk mitigators. In this environment, playing 162 games in a season is rare. Doing it for 16 straight years? Nearly impossible. The physical demands of today's game are also different. Travel is more frequent and often longer. The pressure from media is 24/7. Stadium turf is tougher on joints than the grass of Ripken's early days. The velocity of pitches has increased. Even the pace of the game, with pitch clocks and shorter rest between innings, takes a different toll on the body. Then there's the culture shift. In Ripken's era, playing through pain was a badge of honor. Today, that's often seen as irresponsible. Teams would rather lose one player for a day than lose him for a month. And with expanded rosters and platoon systems, few players are considered indispensable enough to pencil in every single day. Even the players who have shown Ripken-like traits, such as Freddie Freeman or Marcus Semien, have eventually had to miss time due to minor injuries or manager decisions. No one is immune to today's cautious, data-driven baseball environment. What makes Ripken's streak even more incredible is that he did it all without fanfare. There were no grand declarations, no media campaigns. It was a quiet, determined march that became more meaningful with each passing year. And when the time came to step aside, Ripken did it his way, removing himself from the lineup voluntarily with no injury and no drama. The Ironman streak is a testament not just to physical durability, but to personal responsibility. It's about showing up for your team, day in and day out, through winning streaks and losing seasons. It's about playing the game the right way, every time. That's what makes 2032 so legendary, not the size of the number but the meaning behind it. In an era now defined by short-term focus and injury prevention, Cal Ripken Jr.'s record serves as a monument to consistency and grit, traits still admired but no longer demanded in the same way. And perhaps that's why this record, like DiMaggio's, will never be broken. If DiMaggio's streak symbolizes perfection, and Ripken's streak stands for perseverance, then the oldest and wildest records in baseball belong to another category altogether. Records of sheer volume and dominance from a bygone era. These are numbers that weren't just hard to reach. They are now functionally impossible due to how much the game has changed. Chief among them, CyYoung's 511 career wins and NolanRyan's 7 no-hitters, feats that modern pitchers, no matter how talented, simply aren't allowed to chase anymore. CyYoung pitched in a different universe. From 1890 to 1911, he amassed 511 wins, nearly 100 more than second-place Walter Johnson. Today, no pitcher has even 250 career wins. In fact, only one active pitcher as of the 2020s, Justin Verlander, has surpassed 250, and even that required over 15 elite seasons. Young's secret? Pitching almost every day. He started 815 games and completed 749 of them. That's not a typo. He threw the entire game in over 90% of his starts. In contrast, most modern pitchers are pulled by the sixth inning. A complete game today is a rarity, a relic. Managers live in fear of injury, and data models warn against pushing starters beyond 100 pitches. Bullpens are deep and specialized. The modern game isn't built for workhorses. It's built for matchup advantages and velocity bursts in short stints. CyYoung pitched in a time without radar guns, MRI scans, or Twitter. He threw until his arm gave out, then found a way to throw some more. He often faced batters multiple times a game, day after day, with little rest. But the game moved differently then. Fewer homers, slower pace, and a softer ball that made pitching to contact a sustainable strategy. Now contrast that with NolanRyan, whose record of 7 no-hitters, thrown between 1973 and 1991, is both modern and mythical. Unlike Young, Ryan played in the television age under pitch limits against home run hitters and specialists. Yet he remained an untamable force. A no-hitter requires more than just talent. It demands dominance, luck, defense, and nerves of steel. Ryan pulled it off 7 times, more than any other pitcher in history. The closest anyone has come is Sandy Koufax with 4. What's astonishing is that Ryan also walked a ton of batters. He wasn't always efficient, but when he was locked in, no one could touch him. He had the raw stuff, fastballs near 100 mph and curveballs with vicious drop. But he also had the mentality. Ryan didn't pitch for stats or aesthetics. He pitched to dominate. And when the moment came, he delivered performances that were almost supernatural. Now, why are these records unbreakable? First, pitcher usage. Starters rarely pitch deep into games anymore, making it harder to even qualify for a win. A modern pitcher might leave with the lead in the 5th, but not go long enough to earn the W. Even if they wanted to chase wins, the system doesn't allow it. Second, pitch limits and injury concerns have dramatically shortened pitcher careers. In CyYoung's time, arms were worn down through overuse. Today, they're shut down at the first sign of fatigue. Teams are protecting billion-dollar investments, not chasing historic milestones. Third, the offensive environment is different. Hitters are stronger, smarter, and more willing to take pitches. They train year-round, understand spin rates, and study video endlessly. Throwing a no-hitter now means navigating a lineup that's designed to slug, not slap. You're not just fooling hitters, you're outsmarting an entire analytics department behind each swing. And then there's the mental grind. Modern media, social pressure, and the sheer pace of today's game make long-term excellence harder to sustain. There are too many variables that make streaks of dominance unstable. That's why Ryan's and Young's records don't just stand, they tower. They represent a level of endurance and raw performance that today's systems have made obsolete. Even if someone came along with the talent to match them, the game wouldn't allow them the time or space to try. Baseball has always evolved, but these records remind us of what once was, and of just how far the game has come. The numbers aren't just big, they're impossible. And in that impossibility lies their greatness. In a sport defined by numbers, few are as revered or as unreachable as the records explored in this story. Across 3 generations of baseball, these feats stand as towering monuments to excellence, endurance, and evolution. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak in 1941 wasn't just a record. It was a cultural phenomenon. Amid a looming global war, DiMaggio delivered perfection one game at a time. His calm demeanor, consistent mechanics, and mental fortitude created a streak so delicate and yet so powerful that no player since has come close. With today's defensive shifts, elite relievers, and media pressure, repeating such a run seems nearly impossible. Cal Ripken Jr.'s Ironman streak of 2,632 consecutive games played redefined durability. In an era now driven by load management and sports science, Ripken's streak is a relic of a different mindset, one where playing every day was a personal mission. His consistency, both physical and psychological, forged a standard of responsibility that today's rotational schedules make unattainable. Lastly, pitching records like CyYoung's 511 career wins and NolanRyan's 7 no-hitters exist on another planet. They reflect eras when pitchers threw deep into games, started more frequently, and often weren't shielded from fatigue. Today's pitch counts, bullpen strategies, and injury prevention philosophies make those records more than unreachable. They're unthinkable. Together, these records are not just marks of past glory. They are windows into the soul of a changing game. While baseball continues to evolve with technology, analytics, and strategy, these numbers remind us of what used to be possible when players were left to chase greatness on their own terms. Their permanence gives the sport a deep sense of history, and something magical to measure against, even if only in awe.